the shadows of history, the stories never meant to be told. 1880 South Carolina, a land still scarred by the Civil War. Families navigating freedom that felt both precious and precarious. Every cabin, every field whispered secrets of survival. Children played among the remnants of the past. Yet beneath the surface, whispers lingered, stories passed down in hushed voices. Ghost tales that spoke of missing family members, of men who marched into night, never to return, of women who carried secrets in the folds of their skirts. These were the fragments the newspapers barely recorded, runaway slave ads, listing fate unknown, Freedmen's Bureau reports of families displaced, whispers of phantom regiments appearing in battlefields at dusk. And yet the folklore persisted, the elders telling of restless spirits, dream visions, warning of impending loss, instruments that sang messages only some could hear. The threads of history and legend intertwined, each amplifying the other, creating a tapestry both haunting and compelling. Before we begin, leave a comment where you're watching from and the exact time you're listening. Share the moment with the past, with those whose stories have been erased or forgotten. Feel the weight of absence, the tension of survival, and the echoes of lives lived under a shadowed sky. In the quiet corners of abandoned plantations, the air still smelled faintly of burned sugar cane. Logs creaked under the weight of years. Porches sagged with age. Shadows stretched long across the soil. Families gathered, hushed voices telling tales of ancestors, of missing loved ones and battles lost. The old stories mingled with the new, blending pain, triumph, and the faint echo of freedom. Every glance, every gesture carried the weight of history and a hint of the supernatural. Ghost tales were not mere imagination. They were warnings, omens. Children were taught to listen to the night wind, to hear the steps of those who never returned. Men who marched into battlefields at dusk, whose fate remained unknown. Women who hid secrets in the folds of their skirts, stories unspoken to outsiders. Newspapers recorded the barest facts, runaway fate unknown, sparse lines that concealed entire lives. Freedmen's Bureau reports spoke coldly, yet in them entire families were erased from memory. The phantom regiment stories, soldiers appearing and disappearing in the haze of battle. No one knew how much was true, and yet the stories persisted, whispering through generations. Old instruments, dream visions, shadows in cabins, all held meaning, a hidden language. Each story carried both warning and memory, blending folklore and history into something larger. Picture a small cabin, its wooden planks worn and darkened by time. Children running across the yard, laughter mingling with the echoes of toil. A mother tending the fire eyes, wary of the forest beyond. Fathers returning from labor, silent, weighed down by memories they could not share. Every face a testament to survival, resilience etched in skin and posture. The plantation fields were quiet, except for the rustle of leaves. Sometimes the wind carried voices, calls of those lost. Rumors of haunted nights spread among the townsfolk. Elders whispered of ancestors who never rested, spirits moving unseen among the living. It was impossible to separate fact from folklore, and no one tried to. Local newspapers hinted at disappearances, fate unknown. Children of those who vanished grew up with uncertainty. Letters from soldiers returned half-finished, stories unfinished. Maps recorded migrations, but omitted the sorrow of those left behind. History was incomplete, but memory filled the gaps. In Harlem, decades later, echoes of these stories resurfaced. Jazz played as a shadow of past suffering. Notes carried the weight of ancestors. Stories traveled with those who migrated north, carrying both truth and legend. Each tale was a thread weaving together disparate experiences. The urban streets became a new stage for the same ghosts. On distant battlefields, tales of phantom regiments persisted. Soldiers saw shapes moving where no one should be, orders given into empty night, footsteps that did not belong to anyone alive. These accounts were dismissed officially, yet the soldiers remembered. The line between history and legend blurred, creating tension that refused to fade. Return to the rural South. Night falls across cabins and barns. A flicker of firelight reveals shadows dancing on walls. Old quilts hold secrets sewn into their seams. Families speak softly of those who vanished, names repeated in hushed tones. The past is alive and memory refuses to be silent. Every plantation has a story untold. Every forest a whisper. The air carries faint scents of labor loss and hope. Footsteps echo in empty fields where children once played. Eyes watch from windows scanning for ghosts. Not all are gone, some remain walking alongside the living. Dreams were messages, visions in the night. Parents told children to heed them, to recognize warnings. Music became a language. Instruments carried omens. No detail was insignificant. Each small act of remembrance mattered. The mundane was infused with meaning. The ordinary extraordinary. Towns abandoned after mysterious events. Fires, disappearances. Stories of neighbors vanishing without explanation. Residents spoke in cautious whispers, afraid to attract attention. Yet folklore persisted, passed down orally. Memory became rebellion, refusing to be erased. The landscape itself held secrets, rivers, forests, and fields. Each turn in the path reminded travelers of lost ancestors. Shadows lengthened at dusk, the air thick with anticipation. Even animals seemed to know, rustling in ways that made people uneasy. History was everywhere, yet invisible to the untrained eye. Official reports offered fragments, maps, letters, and sparse records. They recorded what they could, leaving out lives, suffering, and heroism. Yet the people remembered. Each story stitched into memory. They spoke through songs, rituals, and nightly tales. Fact and folklore merged seamlessly, creating a living history. As the sun rose over cabins and fields, the weight of the past lingered. Children awoke with questions they could not fully ask. Parents shared stories carefully, passing on lessons, warnings, and hope. Even in daily labor, the presence of the unseen was felt. History and legend intertwined, guiding, haunting, instructing. Before we proceed, take a moment. Reflect on where you are. Think of those listening with you. The shared experience of memory. Leave a comment. Share your location, the exact time you are hearing this. Engage with the echoes of the past. Feel the tension, the grief, the resilience. This is not just a story. It is a living archive, breathing through time and now. Step carefully into these shadows. Feel the weight of lives erased, lives remembered. The line between what was and what is blurs. Every tale carries both truth and warning. The journey has begun. The past is waiting to be heard. The sun dips lower bleeding golden light across the cabins of rural South Carolina. Smoke twists upward carrying the scent of burning wood and the faint tang of tilled soil. Shadows grow long, stretching across uneven paths and rutted fields. Families move with caution, eyes flicking to corners where the forest meets the clearing. Whispers of ancestors seem to follow every footstep. Each glance and gesture carries stories too heavy for words. The air hums with anticipation, as though the land itself remembers. Secrets wait patient and vigilant, ready to surface at any moment. A winding dirt road snakes past the abandoned plantation. Fences sag, leaning under decades of neglect. Wildflowers push through cracks bright against the decay. Somewhere the faint clang of a distant hammer echoes almost imperceptible. The wind stirs the tall grass, rustling like murmurs from the past. The ground seems to pulse with memory, a silent testimony of toil of lives lived in fear and hope. Shadows shift unnaturally, suggesting eyes watching from unseen places. A tension hangs thick as humidity between the living and the ghosts of what has been. Inside a dim cabin, a mother stirs the fire. Her children crouch near faces illuminated by flickering light. The walls are rough, each crack a scar of hardship endured. Outside, the father returns, shoulders tight with worry, eyes scanning the forest's edge. Every movement is deliberate, weighted with experience. The smallest sound makes the family pause, the snap of a twig, a whisper on the wind. Tales of vanished neighbors and phantom figures flit through their minds. The mundane becomes sinister. Even the shadows on the wall seem to breathe. A nearby creek winds through the fields silvered by fading light. Folklore insists spirits linger where water meets land. Children are warned not to stray too far, to respect the murmuring currents that carry unseen voices. Yet curiosity draws them close. They feel it a presence that is both comforting and chilling. The water reflects not only the trees, but something more, a shifting shape at its edge. Every ripple is a message, every rustle a warning. The line between memory and reality grows faint. The town itself pulses with quiet unease. Merchants call out their wares, voices blending. But beneath the chatter lies a tension that cannot be ignored. Whispers of missing townsfolk, of fires that appeared without reason, of figures glimpsed and then gone. Official records deny anything unusual, but the people know. They pass down the stories orally, each telling more urgent than the last. Fear, fascination, and awe mingle in every eye. Every corner of the street seems to hold a secret waiting to reveal itself. Fields stretch endlessly beyond, dotted with abandoned tools and weathered structures. Remnants of plantations left to crumble. Each artifact seems to vibrate with a story. Workers pause, imagining the hands that once held these implements, the eyes that might still watch from shadows. A crow caws overhead, echoing across the open land like a warning. Even the wind seems alive. Every object, every rustling stalk carries history's weight. The land remembers, and it is watching. Dusk descends and the forest shifts. Shapes stretch unnaturally, branches bending as if moved by unseen hands. Folklore suggests spirits of the vanished roam these woods, guardians of the past. Rustling leaves, sudden snapping twigs, faint laughter. The villagers whisper of figures glimpsed at the edge of sight. Some vanish when approached. The tension thickens. A constant hum of suspense and dread coils in the air. Reality feels pliable, the unseen always near. The old church on the hill looms. Windows, dark boards warped by years of neglect. Inside benches sag under decades of empty worship. Hymnals lie open, pages yellowed and brittle. Legends claim that sermons were once interrupted by shadows. Prayers lifted to the heavens were answered in ways invisible. The congregation long gone, yet their spirits linger. Every creak of timber, every sigh of wind through broken panes hints at stories untold. History presses against the living. A schoolhouse at the town's edge stands silent, ghostly in the last light. Chalk dust floats like motes of memory. Books lie open, pages worn through generations of study. Teachers whisper lessons in hushed tones as though aware of unseen observers. Children, wide-eyed, feel figures watching from the corners. Unseen hands brushing against the tangible. Every sound and shadow becomes loaded with significance. The mundane and supernatural converge. The ordinary is infused with a quiet terror. Night deepens over cabins and open fields. The wind carries a symphony of soft sounds, lullabies, footsteps, the faint ring of a distant bell. Old stories insist that spirits roam among the living. Children sometimes vanish, returning with stories too strange to be true. Adults shake their heads knowing some truths are unshareable. Yet the tension never fades. The veil between worlds is thin, permeable, and alive. Every gust, every rustle amplifies the suspense. At the plantation boundary, the fields dissolve into forest. Shadows move with deliberate intent, or so it seems. Some say lost souls guard hidden treasures. Others swear the departed are still searching for justice. Even animals behave strangely, pausing, glancing. The living sense the presence of the unseen. A thin veil separates fact from folklore. Every sound, every movement carries warning. Suspense coils tighter with each passing moment. Inside a cabin, a kettle whistles. The sound blends with murmured prayers. Grandmothers recount dream visions and omens, tales of children foretelling events through nightmares. Instruments played at night carry messages only the attuned can perceive. Every detail matters, every act of remembrance is sacred. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. Past and present intertwine. The weight of history is felt pressing down, urging attention. The town square lies empty as darkness deepens. Shutters rattle, distant fires flicker. Some swear that vanished townsfolk walk the streets at midnight. Others glimpse shadows moving unnaturally. Official records deny any irregularity. Yet memory persists defiant. The unseen asserts itself. Suspense thickens with each passing minute. Every empty corner holds tension, anticipation, and silent watchfulness. Beyond the fields, remnants of an old military training ground remain. Markers of soldiers long gone stand as silent witnesses. Phantom regiments are said to appear at dusk. Echoes of drills and commands float on the wind. Official records deny their presence, yet eyewitnesses insist. The tension is palpable, fact and folklore blurring. The line between what is real and what is imagined twists and tightens. Along a ridge, families gather around the fire. Children listen intently, eyes wide. Elders recount tales of the vanished men and women crossing boundaries, both physical and spiritual. Lessons of survival and warning entwined. Cautionary tales interlace with hope. Each word a tether to the past, a guide for the living, navigating a haunted present. Every flicker of flame casts shadows of memory across their faces. A wagon trundles down the rutted path, wheels groaning. Dust rises in clouds that catch the last light. Travelers and merchants glimpse fleeting figures, shadows that do not belong. Whispers accompany the movement. The air is thick with suspense. History and legend march side by side, inseparable, coiled with anticipation. The forest edge hums with unknown presences. Wind through the pines mimics voices of the long departed. Some insist they hear the lost calling, names repeated softly in cadence. Prayers carried through time echo on the breeze. Memory and imagination fuse, creating an ambiance both fearful and sacred. The living and the dead share a tenuous, uneasy coexistence. Tension grips every moment. The night deepens. Cabins rest in silence. Yet stories remain alive in hearts and minds. The past stretches forward, touching the present. Music, laughter, tears, and whispers mingle. Every sound connects, every pause echoes. Reality bends with memory, shadows and light intertwined. Suspense mounts, the story presses closer. Each moment heavier, more urgent, impossible to ignore. Before stepping further, reflect on what you have seen, heard, and imagined. Leave your mark. Share your thoughts, location, and time. Participate in this continuum of memory. The journey is ongoing. The past persists, a shadow that walks beside you, patient, observing, waiting. Each heartbeat echoes with history. Suspense lingers. Anticipation builds. Runaway slave advertisements whispered across the newspapers of the era. Names inked in haste. Fate unknown marked beside them. Families torn apart, journeys beginning in secrecy. Yet oral histories recall these departures in vivid detail. Elders tell of figures slipping through the night shadows among shadows. Lanterns flicker in abandoned cabins, tracing movements that official records never captured. Memory preserves what ink cannot. In remote fields, abandoned tools lie scattered. Each hoe, each plow, a relic of toil. Folklore claims spirits linger where laborers once bent over the soil. Their footsteps echo in the rustling crops. Witnesses speak of shadows stretching longer than any living man. These apparitions serve as warnings and reminders. The land itself seems alive, keeping vigil over stories untold. Letters from the Freedmen's Bureau hint at migration and resettlement. Maps show movement, yet the stories of loss remain absent. Children vanish from cabins in whispered tales. Some return eyes wide, muttering visions of the unseen. Elders nod knowingly. The unseen is real, tangible. Folklore and fact are inseparable threads, binding generations across time. In the evenings, families gather by firelight. Mothers whisper cautionary tales. Fathers recount escapes under cover of darkness. Children lean close, absorbing the warnings, the triumphs, the fears. Spirits of those lost walk unseen among them. Instruments and drums play notes that carry meaning only to those attuned. Every gesture, every glance carries a hidden message. Reality and legend entwine seamlessly. Abandoned plantations echo with absent voices. Some say fires erupted from no discernible cause. Neighbors vanished without explanation. Local newspapers deny anything unusual. Yet folk memories preserve every detail. Children speak of figures glimpsed at twilight. Elders tell of restless souls retracing their steps. Tension pervades the quiet. Every shadow is loaded with possibility. The forest edges conceal paths long forgotten. Families navigating these trails feel watched. Folklore insists spirits of the vanished guide or mislead travelers. Every snapping twig is a question. Every rustling leaf an answer. Unseen eyes seem to track movement. Tension grows as the boundary between life and legend thins. The forest becomes both stage and character. In cabin interiors, whispers persist. Footsteps echo, chairs creak. Children hear lullabies not sung by living mouths. Instruments hum soft warnings. Elders interpret dreams as premonitions. Visions of loved ones lost appear in fleeting moments. These occurrences blend fact and myth, leaving listeners unsettled, attentive yearning for answers. Schoolhouses hold their own secrets. Chalk dust floats in shafts of evening light. Desks stand empty, yet the air hums with lessons remembered. Children claim to see shadows moving independently. Teachers notice oddities unexplained by natural causes. These spaces become liminal zones. Reality bends, creating unease. The mundane carries weight. The ordinary is suffused with mystery. Market towns in the dusk glow. Voices fade into whispers. Merchants glimpse forms moving oddly. Townsfolk share rumors of disappearances, laughter tinged with fear. Some claim to witness figures fading into thin air. Reports of phantom soldiers marching in fields circulate quietly. Fact is, sparse folklore rich. Suspense builds in every alley and corner. At night, distant drums echo through the hills. Accounts speak of phantom regiments, soldiers appearing and disappearing in the mist. Commands are heard where no one stands. Official histories omit these events. Eyewitnesses insist. Folklore preserves truth where records fail. Anticipation mounts. Listeners lean closer. The unseen grows almost tangible. Cabin kitchens simmer with activity, yet murmurs of the past infiltrate each action. Pots whistle with the weight of history. Elders recount visions and omens. Children shiver at the sounds. Instruments played at night resonate with messages from those long gone. Ordinary chores are transformed into acts of remembrance. Suspense pervades every corner. In town squares, shadows lengthen unnaturally. Figures vanish as you approach. Windows flicker with ghostly lights. Whispers circulate of those missing for decades. Reality feels elastic. Space bends under the weight of memory and myth. Listeners are drawn deeper into the narrative. Anticipation tightens. Tension becomes almost physical. Along plantation boundaries, wind carries faint voices. Stories of ancestors lost and guiding. Animals behave strangely, sensing what humans do not. Shadows stretch unnaturally. Distant laughter or weeping drifts through fields. Memory, imagination, and legend interlace. Every rustle holds significance. Suspense swells, compelling attention. In military training grounds, markers of long-dead soldiers persist. Phantom drills replay in mind's eye. Soldiers recall being observed by unseen presences. Commands echo through empty fields. Official histories deny the phenomenon. Eyewitnesses and folklore insist. Tension rises as fact and legend entwine. Anticipation grows with every passing moment. Night falls over rivers and forest paths. Reflections shimmer with unseen shapes. Travelers feel eyes upon them. Whispered warnings pass down generationally. Objects seem to move subtly, touched by the unseen. Suspense hangs thick, drawing listeners into history and myth alike. Every movement carries weight. Every sound, potential revelation. Families gather at evening fires. Stories flow uninterrupted. Warnings, recollections, triumphs interlace. Children shiver with fear and excitement. Shadows flicker against walls, amplifying the tension. Spiritual presence is almost felt physically. The narrative tightens, drawing audience deeper into engagement. Folklore and fact pulse together. Suspense heightens steadily. A wagon creaks along a rutted road. Dust rises like mist. Fleeting figures appear, then vanish. Whispers accompany the movement. Anticipation coils. Reality and legend march side by side. Listeners are held in rapt attention. Every detail hints at further revelation. Tension escalates. The forest's edge hums with life. Wind carries voices from decades past. Some insist they hear the missing calling out. Names repeated softly, prayers echoing. Memory fuses with imagination. Suspense becomes immersive. The boundary between fact and legend disappears. Listeners feel the world shift. The story becomes all-encompassing. Night deepens. Towns, cabins, and fields grow silent. Yet stories persist. Music, laughter, whispers intermingle. Each sound and pause is laden with significance. Shadows stretch and twist. Suspense reaches its peak, anticipation what almost unbearable. Listeners are drawn inexorably forward. Every heartbeat is synchronized with history's rhythm. Before moving further, reflect on the stories absorbed. Share your thoughts, your location, and the time. The past is alive, pressing forward. Shadows accompany every moment. Suspense lingers. Anticipation sharpens. The journey through history and folklore continues. Reality and myth entwine. Listeners are immersed, breathless, awaiting the next revelation. A single figure vanishes into the dense night. No footprints remain. The wind whispers through the treetops as though carrying the secrets of the lost. Neighbors peer from windows, lanterns shaking in their hands. Children awake, screaming, eyes wide with fear and fascination. Elders murmur knowingly, passing on fragments of memory older than the town itself. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the yard. Anticipation coils in the air like a living thing ready to strike. In an abandoned cabin, strange noises rise and fall. Pots clatter, boards creak under invisible weight. A chair tilts slightly, as if an unseen presence had just left it. A faint, cold breath seems to pass through the room. Whispers echo from walls that have witnessed generations. Outside moonlight reveals movement between the trees. Villagers insist they saw a figure pacing silently, only to vanish as if swallowed by darkness. Suspense tightens, hearts race. The ordinary becomes uncanny. A deserted town hall stands as a relic of forgotten events. Papers litter the floor benches overturned. Folklore speaks of ghostly footsteps pacing the hallways. Shadows linger in corners, darting just out of sight. Sudden flashes of light illuminate uninhabited rooms. Official records deny these occurrences. Yet witnesses recall every detail vividly. An oppressive tension presses down on the entire structure. The air seems thick with both memory and expectation. Fear and curiosity intertwine. Fields once tilled lie fallow, the remnants of labor abandoned for decades. Tools rest in the soil, remnants of a past, both harsh and sacred. Folklore insists spirits linger where workers once bent over the land. Shadows stretch far longer than humanly possible. Travelers and villagers report fleeting glimpses of figures moving among the crops. The wind carries distant murmurs. Each sound amplifies suspense, every movement hints at something unseen. Reality becomes fluid, the natural world charged with supernatural resonance. A young boy disappears near the creek. Moments later he returns, pale and trembling. Whispers of visions he cannot fully describe escape his lips. Elders nod silently, comprehending truths too dangerous to speak aloud. Instruments near the water hum with a resonance that chills the marrow. The creek seems alive, whispering warnings through ripples. Suspense coils tighter. The air vibrates with unseen energy. Listeners lean in, senses heightened. The ordinary transformed into portentous mystery. Distant drumming rises over hills and ridges. Phantom regiments are said to march, their presence felt though unseen. Commands echo across empty fields. Boots beat rhythms that should not exist. Official records deny any anomaly, yet eyewitnesses recount their experiences with unshakable certainty. Suspense builds like a storm. Listeners feel it in their bones. The air thickens. Time seems to slow under the weight of anticipation. Smoke curls from abandoned plantation chimneys unexpectedly. Flames appear and vanish with no cause. Townsfolk exchange fearful glances. Whispers rise of restless spirits, returning to claim what was theirs. Shadowy forms flicker across windows. Animals flee unnaturally. Suspense intensifies, gripping the scene like a vice. Every heartbeat matches the tension. Listeners are drawn deeper into the enigma. Every shadow carries a story. A messenger arrives, eyes wide with fear, hands trembling. He speaks of apparitions near the old training grounds. Townsfolk murmur in disbelief and dread. Tools rattle in empty fields. Animals grow restless. The unseen seems palpably present. Suspense reaches fever pitch. Every detail matters, every sound could be a clue. Tension is unrelenting. The night seems alive. Inside the schoolhouse, chalk moves without human touch. Desks topple. Faint whispers rise in corridors. Children claim shadows flit across walls. Teachers glance nervously at corners. Folklore suggests spirits of the vanished linger to observe. The ordinary bends unnaturally. Reality becomes elastic, bending to memory and myth. Suspense is pervasive, unyielding. Listeners cannot look away. Market streets at twilight grow unnervingly quiet. Lanterns sway in the wind, casting dancing shadows. Figures appear and vanish at impossible angles. Conversations die in whispers. Distant laughter and sobbing ripple through alleys. Official records deny the phenomenon, yet townsfolk insist on its truth. Tension coils ever tighter. Anticipation becomes almost unbearable. Every corner, every doorway could hide a story. Every shadow a secret. The river glimmers with impossible shapes. Reflections reveal figures that vanish when approached. Voices echo softly across the banks, calling names long forgotten. Animals hesitate at the water's edge, ears pricked, eyes wide. Folklore insists the dead guide or mislead travelers. Suspense escalates. Listeners feel it physically. The landscape pulses with unseen energy. Every ripple a potential revelation. Reality seems suspended between worlds. Cabin interiors thrum with subtle but unsettling activity. Utensils lift, firelight dances unnaturally. Elders interpret these movements as warnings from the past. Children watch, caught between fear and fascination. Instruments hum low notes vibrating with messages from those long gone. Memory and folklore merge into tangible tension. Suspense intensifies. Every shadow and flicker becomes a story. Listeners' hearts pound in rhythm with the narrative. The town square empties as darkness deepens. Wind rattles shutters, distant fires flicker. Whispers of vanished townsfolk float on the breeze. Shadows move strangely across empty streets. Official documentation denies anything abnormal. Yet folk memory persists alive and insistent. Suspense coils tighter. The night itself becomes a character. The boundary between past and present blurs. Tension is almost suffocating. At the abandoned chapel, faint chanting echoes. Hymnals flutter untouched by human hands. Boards groan, windows shiver. Legends claim spirits gather there at dusk. Prayers uttered decades ago resonate again softly, impossibly. Reality is distorted, fact and folklore entwined. Suspense escalates. Listeners feel themselves within the scene. Every sound is laden with meaning. Every creak a heartbeat. Plantation boundaries reveal long-forgotten paths. Shadows dart moving with intent. Some claim lost souls guard hidden treasures. Others insist the dead still seek justice. Animals act strangely, sensing what humans cannot. Suspense is heightened. Every rustle carries weight. Listeners are drawn into uncertainty. Anticipation becomes tangible. The night feels conscious. A phantom figure appears atop a ridge, pauses, then vanishes. Footsteps echo, but no one is there. Villagers whisper in fear. Instruments emit faint, impossible tones. Visions of the vanished appear in dreams. Suspense is relentless. Listeners are pulled further into the narrative. Every detail is amplified, every moment pregnant with revelation. Inside, dense forest whispers turn into coherent voices. Shapes move in the periphery of vision. Trees sway, groaning as though alive. Spirits of the vanished guide and mislead travelers. Tension builds steadily. Listeners feel themselves inside the unfolding events. Reality and legend overlap. Suspense is immersive, suffocating, yet exhilarating. Anticipation drives the story forward relentlessly. The old military training grounds echo. Phantom drills replay endlessly. Commands float through empty air. Shadows align, then dissipate. Eyewitnesses persist. Suspense peaks. Every heartbeat matches the rhythm of the unseen. Listeners feel the pressing presence of history. Anticipation is almost unbearable. Fact and folklore intertwine, fully creating a living narrative. Distant fire illuminates hills. Figures dance in flickering light. Shadows stretch and twist in impossible ways. Stories of the vanished resurface vividly. Folklore clashes with recorded history. Suspense reaches an apex. Listeners feel each heartbeat, each breath synchronized with the past. Tension is thick, unrelenting. Every line of sight is a potential revelation, every movement a portent. Before moving further, reflect on what has been seen. Share thoughts, time, place. The past presses forward relentless. Shadows accompany every motion. Suspense remains omnipresent. Anticipation sharpens. Listeners are captive, immersed in history and legend. Reality bends, memory asserts itself. Every heartbeat echoes the intensity. The journey continues. Official records exist only in fragments, yellowed and brittle. Letters, maps, and census reports hint at migrations and resettlements, yet much remains unrecorded. Entire families vanished, their fates marked unknown. Elders recount neighbors who disappeared silently into the night. Shadows glide through empty fields, unseen but sensed. Lanterns flicker over abandoned cabins, tracing paths that no living person walks. Memory preserves what ink cannot hold, in stories too vivid and too dangerous to be forgotten. Anticipation builds. Suspense coils like smoke, tightening around the listener. Newspaper notices document mysterious disappearances, each name inked hastily with fate unknown. The lines record only partial truths, leaving vast gaps in history. Yet oral tradition remembers every detail vividly. Children vanish briefly, returning pale and trembling, muttering visions beyond comprehension. Elders nod knowingly, understanding truths that cannot be spoken aloud. The ordinary world feels permeable. Reality bends under the weight of memory and legend. Tension tightens. Listeners lean forward, hearts pounding. Anticipation stretches thin, electric in the air. Abandoned cabins creak under invisible weight. Doors sway slowly, boards groan. Chairs tilt as if moved by unseen hands. A cold, impossible draft cuts through the room. Folklore insists spirits linger, watching the living. Whispers echo along walls, voices of ancestors warning all who remain. Instruments hum faint, eerie tones. Children tremble at flickering shadows. Suspense escalates, wrapping the listener in an oppressive, chilling embrace. Anticipation coils, tightening with each passing moment. Fields long abandoned lie fallow remnants of centuries of labor. Tools rest uneasily in the soil as if held by invisible hands. Folklore suggests spirits of the departed linger where workers once bent over the land. Shadows stretch unnaturally across rows of withered crops. Villagers glimpse fleeting figures moving through the mist. The wind carries low murmurs, half-formed voices from the past. Suspense grows thicker, pressing into the audience. Reality becomes unstable. Anticipation coils like serpentine tendrils. Tension grips tightly, refusing release. A young boy disappears near the creek's edge, swallowed by shadows. Moments later, he returns, pale, trembling, whispering visions, impossible to explain. Elders nod silently, comprehending truths too dangerous for the uninitiated. Nearby instruments hum faint, ghostly notes that seem to echo distant footsteps. The creek itself appears alive, ripples whispering warnings. Suspense escalates. Listeners' senses heighten, hearts beat faster. Ordinary life becomes charged with portent. Anticipation tightens, tension rippling outward. Distant drumming rises across the hills, carried by wind. Phantom regiments appear at dusk, unseen but felt. Commands echo across empty fields. Boots beat a rhythm impossible for mortal ears. Official records deny it. Yet eyewitnesses recount events with unshakable certainty. Suspense coils like a living creature. Listeners feel it in their chests, electric, urgent. The landscape hums with memory, anticipation, becoming almost tangible. Shadows stretch unnaturally, watching. Tension tightens, relentless. Smoke rises from abandoned plantation chimneys. Flames appear and vanish inexplicably. Townsfolk exchange fearful glances, whispering under their breaths. Folklore insists restless spirits claim what was theirs. Shadowy forms flicker across windows. Animals flee or freeze. Suspense intensifies, pressing into every crevice. Listeners' hearts pound in tandem with unseen forces. Anticipation sharpens every heartbeat, a warning. Tension saturates the scene, nearly unbearable. A messenger arrives, trembling at the edge of town, eyes wide with terror. He reports apparitions near old military grounds. Villagers murmur fearfully. Tools rattle in empty fields. Animals sense the unseen and react with unease. Suspense peaks. Listeners feel the pressure physically, anticipation coiling tighter. Shadows seem to move with intent. Reality bends, folklore asserts itself. Tension saturates the night. Inside the schoolhouse, chalk moves without touch. Desks topple, books shift. Shadows flicker across walls as if alive. Children whisper in awe and fear, glancing over their shoulders. Teachers glance nervously at corners, sensing something unseen. Folklore insists spirits observe and instruct. Suspense escalates. Reality bends under the weight of the story, listeners drawn deeper. Anticipation tightens. Tension weaves through every sound, every flicker of light. Town squares empty as dusk deepens. Lanterns swing violently, casting long, twisting shadows. Whispers of vanished townsfolk drift across alleys. Faint music and laughter mingle in the wind. Official records deny any anomaly, yet folk memory preserves it. Suspense coils tighter. Anticipation grips the audience like a living thing. Every corner, every doorway is fraught with potential revelation. Tension thickens. Listeners' senses sharpen. Plantation boundaries reveal long-forgotten paths. Shadows shift with deliberate intent. Folklore claims spirits guard warn and sometimes mislead travelers. Animals behave strangely, ears pricked, tails stiff. Humans sense the unseen and invisible presence. Suspense escalates, every movement amplified. Listeners drawn deeper into uncertainty. Anticipation builds. Reality itself seems to bend. Tension grips the air. Shadows pulse with memory. Phantom regiments march silently along ridges. Commands float through misted air. Formations appear aligned, then vanish. Eyewitnesses attest, yet official histories remain silent. Suspense grows. Listeners feel each step resonate within themselves. Anticipation peaks. The unseen presses close, tension tightening. Shadows bend, pulse, and vanish. The narrative wraps around every sense. Reality and folklore entwined. Cabins hum with activity unseen. Utensils lift, firelight flickers unnaturally. Elders interpret movements as omens, warnings. Children watch hearts racing. Instruments vibrate faintly, carrying messages from those long gone. Shadows stretch, twist, and retreat. Suspense escalates. Listeners feel inside the story. Anticipation coils. Tension saturates every corner, every breath. Reality bends. Rivers shimmer with impossible reflections. Half-formed figures glide beneath the surface. Soft voices call names from the past. Instruments echo faintly, unnerving, yet magnetic. Folklore insists the dead guide or mislead the living. Suspense thickens. Listeners sense invisible eyes. Anticipation coils like ripples across water. Shadows flicker unnaturally, tension mounting. Every sound carries history's weight. The town square empties as night deepens. Lanterns flicker shadows, stretching in unnatural shapes. Whispers of vanished souls rise. Winds carry the sound of faint music, laughter, and sobbing. Official records deny the phenomena. Folk memory preserves it. Suspense intensifies. Anticipation coils. Listeners feel a chill crawl up their spines. Tension reaches near breaking. Every movement, every shadow carries significance. At the military training grounds, phantom drills replay endlessly. Commands float through the night air. Shadows align, then dissipate. Eyewitnesses persist. Suspense peaks. Listeners feel the rhythm of unseen boots within themselves. Anticipation becomes nearly unbearable. Tension saturates every heartbeat. Fact and folklore merge fully, creating a living narrative. Shadows twist and pulse. Distant fires illuminate hillsides. Figures appear and vanish in flickering light. Shadows stretch in impossible angles. Whispers of the vanished mingle with wind and smoke. Folklore and recorded history collide. Suspense reaches an apex. Listeners are fully immersed, breathless. Anticipation coils tighter. Tension grips the chest, the stomach, the senses. Every flicker, every sound carries portent. Families gather around evening fires. Stories flow, uninterrupted warnings, recollections, triumphs interwoven. Children shiver in fear and fascination. Shadows flicker across walls and faces. Suspense tightens folklore, and fact resonate together. Anticipation coils. Listeners feel the story pressing in. Tension saturates the air. The narrative demands attention. Every heartbeat echoes the unseen. Reality bends with every tale. Before moving forward, reflect on what has been witnessed. Share your thoughts, location, and time. The past presses forward relentlessly. Suspense remains. Anticipation sharpens. The journey continues. Shadows linger. Listeners are fully immersed. Tension saturates the night. Reality bends. Memory asserts itself. Every heartbeat echoes intensity. The forest grows darker as night deepens. Shadows twist and stretch unnaturally across the undergrowth. Leaves rustle like whispers of the vanished. Footsteps echo where no one walks. Villagers clutch lanterns, eyes wide with fear and anticipation. Elders murmur warnings of spirits moving unseen. Instruments hum, faintly vibrating with energy that chills the marrow. Suspense coils around every listener. Tension thickens, heavy and almost tangible. In the distance, phantom lights flicker over abandoned fields. Shapes appear briefly, then dissolve into the darkness. Whispers rise from unseen mouths carrying names and warnings. Children tremble, peering through the night. Elders recall vanished neighbors and soldiers who walked in the shadows. Suspense intensifies, pressing on the heart. Listeners feel every rustle, every flicker. Anticipation stretches taut like a bowstring. Tension grips the senses. A single cabin shivers under invisible weight. Doors bang, boards groan. Firelight flickers wildly, casting dancing shadows. Folklore insists spirits gather here, observing and instructing. Instruments vibrate with impossible harmonics. Children press close to the warmth of the fire. Suspense tightens. The boundary between reality and legend dissolves. Anticipation pulses with every heartbeat. Tension feels suffocating. Along the river, reflections shimmer unnaturally. Ghostly figures glide just beneath the surface. Voices rise in whispers calling names from decades past. Elders interpret the ripples as omens. Instruments hum faintly in resonance with the unseen. Suspense grows. Listeners feel the weight of invisible eyes. Anticipation coils. The ordinary landscape becomes charged with hidden life. Tension stretches across every breath. At the abandoned chapel, hymnals lift and flutter. Boards creak under unseen pressure. Shadows cross the room independently of wind or light. Whispers rise softly, voices of the past echoing. Folklore insists spirits gather here at dusk. Suspense peaks. Listeners' senses heighten, each heartbeat synchronized with unseen events. Anticipation sharpens. Tension tightens. Reality bends under the weight of history. The schoolhouse at the edge of town hums with ghostly life. Chalk moves, desks shift. Shadows flicker across walls, twisting unnaturally. Children whisper of figures moving in corners. Teachers glance nervously. Folklore claims spirits instruct and observe. Suspense thickens. Anticipation coils like vines. Listeners feel drawn into the story. Tension saturates every sound. Reality and myth intertwine. Town squares lie empty under the moon. Lanterns sway, casting long, distorted shadows. Whispers of vanished townsfolk rise and fade. Faint music and laughter drift across the streets. Official records deny it yet. Memory insists. Suspense intensifies. Listeners' hearts race. Anticipation sharpens. Every empty corner brims with potential revelation. Tension is almost unbearable. The night itself feels alive. Plantation boundaries hide long-forgotten paths. Shadows dart between trees with intent. Folklore insists spirits guard, warn, deceive. Animals pause, ears pricked. Villagers sense something unseen. Suspense coils, each step uncertain. Anticipation grows. The ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Tension grips the body and mind. Shadows pulse with memory. Phantom regiments march silently along distant ridges. Commands echo across empty fields. Formations appear, then vanish. Eyewitnesses attest. Official records deny. Suspense reaches fever pitch. Listeners feel the rhythm of unseen boots in their chests. Anticipation tightens. Every heartbeat resonates with history. Tension coils tighter than ever. Cabins hum with supernatural activity. Utensils rise, fires flicker. Elders interpret movements as omens. Children watch frozen. Instruments vibrate with ghostly tones. Shadows stretch across walls. Suspense escalates. Listeners feel themselves inside the scene. Anticipation sharpens. Tension saturates the air. Every flicker carries warning. Rivers shimmer with spectral reflections. Half-formed figures glide beneath the surface. Whispers call softly, repeating long-forgotten names. Folklore insists the dead guide or mislead. Suspense tightens. Listeners sense invisible eyes. Anticipation coils. Reality feels suspended, charged with memory. Tension presses on every nerve. Shadows twist and shimmer. The town square empties further as darkness deepens. Lanterns flicker violently, shadows twisting and contorting. Whispers rise and fade, voices of vanished townsfolk. Winds carry faint music, laughter, sorrow. Official records deny. Folk memory insists. Suspense builds. Anticipation reaches a peak. Every corner, every doorway holds potential revelation. Tension is almost unbearable. Listeners' senses sharpen. At the old military grounds, phantom drills replay endlessly. Commands float through the night. Shadows align, then dissipate. Eyewitnesses persist. Official records remain silent. Suspense escalates. Listeners feel the rhythm of unseen boots within themselves. Anticipation coils. Tension saturates the scene. Every heartbeat echoes the past. Reality bends. Distant fires illuminate hillsides. Figures appear and vanish. Shadows twist impossibly. Whispers mingle with wind and smoke. Folklore and history collide. Suspense peaks. Listeners are fully immersed. Tension grips the chest. Anticipation coils. Every flicker carries weight. Reality seems alive. The past presses forward. Families gather around evening fires. Stories flow uninterrupted. Warnings, recollections, triumphs interweave. Children shiver with fear and fascination. Shadows flicker across walls. Suspense tightens. Folklore and fact resonate. Anticipation coils. Listeners feel the story pressing in. Tension saturates the air. Every heartbeat echoes the unseen. Reality bends with memory. Before moving onward, reflect on what has been witnessed. Share your thoughts, location, and time. The past presses forward relentlessly. Suspense remains. Anticipation sharpens. The journey continues. Shadows linger. Listeners are fully immersed. Tension saturates every breath. Reality bends. Memory asserts itself. Every heartbeat echoes intensity. The first light of dawn creeps over the cabins and fields. Shadows retreat reluctantly. The night's secrets linger in the soil, the walls, the air itself. Families stir their movements, quiet, weighed by memory. Whispers of vanished ancestors remain in every corner. Instruments left overnight resonate faintly. Suspense softens into a lingering tension. Anticipation fades slowly, yet a sense of presence persists. Abandoned fields glimmer with dew. Tools lie motionless, yet stories cling to them. Elders recount the events of the night and their voices trembling with memory. Children listen intently, absorbing lessons of survival and caution. Folklore weaves through every account, blending with the historical fragments. Suspense eases, but the weight of mystery remains. Anticipation lingers in the space between words. Tension softens into reflective awe. The river reflects morning light shimmering over ripples. Yet beneath the unseen currents carry whispers from the past. Figures once glimpsed fade into memory. Legends suggest spirits linger, guiding and warning. Villagers feel a presence even in the bright day. Suspense transforms into reverence. Listeners imagine the intertwining of past and present. Anticipation remains a thread connecting history and memory. Tension ebbs but does not vanish. Cabins sit in quiet repose. Boards creak faintly in the wind. Stories from the previous night echo in the minds of those who listened. Elders teach that the spirit's work is never done. Folklore endures memory, preserves what records cannot. Suspense softens but lingers. Anticipation carries a reflective weight. Listeners sense the living connection to the past. Tension hums quietly beneath daily life. In the town square, shadows have dissipated. Yet traces remain in empty doorways, corners, and windows. Whispered tales persist among the townsfolk. Official records remain silent, yet memory thrives. Children repeat what they have learned in hushed tones. Suspense shifts into reflective curiosity. Anticipation threads through their words. Tension transforms into awareness of presence. The past asserts itself gently. Along the plantation boundaries, the forest holds its secrets. Leaves rustle with a life of their own. The wind carries distant names and stories. Instruments hum faintly in abandoned cabins. Shadows retreat but leave their mark. Suspense becomes a haunting echo. Anticipation lingers in the hearts of listeners. Tension softens into remembrance. History and folklore coexist. Phantom regiment markers stand empty under morning light. Commands heard the night before fade into memory. Villagers recount experiences in reverent tones. Legends persist. Suspense shifts to reflection. Anticipation threads into contemplation. Tension is replaced by understanding. The boundary between fact and folklore remains porous. Echoes of the night endure. The schoolhouse stands silent. Chalk dust settles. Desks empty. Yet shadows of past activity linger in memory. Children remember lessons from the night. Instruments once vibrating with unseen energy now rest. Suspense eases into narrative closure. Anticipation lingers as a reflective thread. Tension remains subdued like a heartbeat beneath the calm. Stories are preserved. Cabin kitchens emit faint scents of cooking. The air carries traces of night-long activity. Elders recount omens and dreams. Children absorb history and caution simultaneously. Folklore blends seamlessly with fact. Suspense diminishes into awareness. Anticipation threads softly. Tension remains in the pause between actions. Memory and legend endure. The river flows calmly, yet beneath currents carry whispers of the night. Reflections fade, but memory persists. Instruments once echoing with ghostly resonance fall silent. Villagers feel the river is alive with memory. Suspense transforms into reflection. Anticipation carries a quiet awe. Tension softens. Shadows of the past remain. History endures. In the abandoned chapel, hymnals rest. Boards sigh with the wind. Shadows soften. Whispers echo faintly in memory. Stories of spirits gathering at dusk endure in oral history. Suspense settles into reverence. Anticipation becomes contemplative. Tension lingers quietly. Listeners feel the presence of the past. Legend and fact intertwine gently. The town square awakens with morning life. Shadows shorten. Winds carry faint, remembered music. Children speak softly of the vanished. Folklore is woven into every word. Suspense transforms into reflective memory. Anticipation threads through conversation. Tension is now a quiet hum beneath daily rhythm. Stories live on. Plantation boundaries remain silent, yet the land remembers. Animals move cautiously. Whispers of unseen watchers persist. Folklore holds its place alongside historical fragments. Suspense dissolves into contemplative reflection. Anticipation threads subtly through daily life. Tension softens, yet presence remains. The unseen lingers quietly. Memory is persistent. Families gather around morning fires. Stories are repeated softly, preserving memory. Children learn lessons of caution, respect, and resilience. Elders speak in measured tones. Suspense has ebbed. Anticipation threads gently through conversation. Tension softens into reflection. The past is acknowledged and honored. Every word carries weight. The riverbanks glimmer under morning light. Reflections carry echoes of unseen forms. Legends persist. Suspense transforms into reverent awareness. Anticipation is subtle like a gentle pulse. Tension is a quiet hum. Listeners feel the enduring presence of the past. Shadows are faint, but memory holds strong. Folklore and fact continue to intertwine. The military training grounds stand empty. Phantom echoes fade into memory. Villagers speak in hushed reverence. Suspense eases. Anticipation threads through recollection. Tension softens. The unseen presses lightly, reminding that memory is eternal. History endures. Lessons of the night remain. Shadows recede. Distant hills glow under dawn. Figures glimpsed in flickering firelight fade. Whispers continue in memory. Suspense has transformed into reflection. Anticipation threads gently. Tension softens. Listeners feel a lingering awe. The narrative leaves echoes of history and legend intertwined. Memory asserts itself quietly. Families depart cabins for the day. Shadows retreat. Instruments fall silent. Stories told through night remain in minds and hearts. Suspense dissolves into thoughtful reflection. Anticipation lingers. Tension softens to reverence. The past presses gently into the present. Folklore and fact endure intertwined. The narrative closes, but echoes remain. Before the story concludes, reflect on what has been heard. Share your thoughts, the time, the place. The past continues to press forward. Suspense lingers softly. Anticipation threads through reflection. Shadows remain in memory. Tension has softened, leaving resonance. Listeners are left with echoes of history, legend, and enduring mystery. The narrative closes, but the story never truly ends.